Are you having problems bleeding your disc brakes? Your brakes don't stop? Is something going on with your brakes and you just can't figure it out? Well, in today's video, we're gonna do and explain and review how to bleed your brakes if you got a brake conversion or you don't. Here's a bunch of tricks and tips will help you figure out, problem solve, and get from point A to point B and get your disc brakes working properly. You're gonna need a syringe to bleed your brakes, and you're gonna need some oil that matches your brake levers. We're gonna need a small Allen head for this here. It has an Allen head right here, and then we got the little port right here. We're gonna need some pliers like so. We're gonna need a good set of wire cutters like so. You might need a wrench to take off your wheel. You also might need some disc brake cleaner. Also, you're gonna need a few parts for the actual brake, which is an olive and an insert to re-bleed your brakes if need be. This customer brought this bike to me because he stated that the brakes aren't working. He's trying to get more power out of the brakes. If we go up to the lever right here, notice how the lever goes all the way in. That's usually a clear indication that the brakes aren't bled correctly, or there's a leak, or something's going significantly wrong with the brake setup. So we're gonna look through everything and we're gonna kind of problem solve and see what we could figure out and get these brakes working a lot better. He's saying the brakes don't work very well, but as I look on the actual brake, you could kind of see some oil or some kind of residue on there. See all that residue? That's probably keeping his brakes from stopping. Maybe he got oil on them while bleeding the brakes. I don't know, but that's why we're here, to figure it out. So we're gonna pull this thing apart, figure out what's going wrong, and then figure out the solution. So what I like to do is, first off, I'm gonna try to clean everything before I start bleeding the brakes or anything like that. Main reason why is if I'm cleaning everything, I know everything's clean. If any oil comes up and anything gets dirty again, I know that everything is clean, and it'll be easier to spot where the problem is and help us get to point B. So we're gonna pull these bolts off with a 5mm bolt, pulling off the front and the rear. The reason why we're doing this is because usually it's the easiest to adjust the brakes after this. This looks like he's kind of already got it set up where the brake is sitting in the center. So we're trying to do the least work as possible. So, all right, we got those off. And set them in a safe place. We're gonna pull it back here. All right, so check this out. We got it off. First thing I noticed is that there's a lot of oil, lot of bad stuff. Oil and brakes don't mix. Look at that. So what that tells me is that there's oil leaking somewhere, or when he was bleeding the brakes, the oil spilled. He wasn't able to clean it up, and it's affected the brakes. So if you look right here, there's more oil all over this adapter and everything. So clear indication that the pads are probably contaminated, and we probably got to re-bleed it. Most of the time you don't have to fix the hose or anything like that because it's usually not leaking, but if it is, you can blatantly see it. So next we're going to take out the pads and we're going to see what these bad boys look like. Now that you got your brake caliper off, you're going to need your pliers, and you're going to be able to pinch this pin right here and allow this pin to come out. So go in here, pinched it, slide it out, and now your brake pads can fall out. It's easiest just to push on the back side right here. It pushes them all the way out. Now you can pull your pads out. All right, let's check these bad boys out. Let's see. Oh man, no wonder he's not stopping. He's got a bunch of grease, oil build up on there, dirt, and we're gonna try to salvage these for him. I'm gonna clean this thing out pretty good. And what we like to do And here we're gonna just wipe off as much grease and oil as we can. You can use your nail to get all the way in those cracks. Put your nail behind the... Got the other one. I'm touching with my hands. You're not supposed to touch them with your hands, but they're already toast. So here's a little trick that I'm gonna do real quick. So we're gonna put the pads back in here real quick. Got them in there. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna spread these pistons out a little bit. You're gonna stick the screwdriver in there. You're gonna turn it a little bit. Spreading the pads in, push the pistons in. Now the pistons are all the way in. And your brakes will get bled a lot better. If you're not doing that before you bleed your brakes, it's a good idea to do that. It'll definitely help you out. Next thing is that this thing's really dirty. We got this mount here. Now that you got that Honda.
Honda at 3 a.m. Hold on.
Now that you got the pistons pushed in, we're gonna clean the brake pads and see if we could get some more life out of these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw them down on the ground. There's a couple different ways. You could either use this brake cleaner right here, or we come back, get down here. We have some acetone right there. So we're just gonna be a little generous and just dump it right on. Make sure you cap this thing up so it doesn't evaporate. You can see them changing color already. So those look pretty good. I'll do it on the other side. Looks pretty solid. I did notice some. That's a little good trick too. Put the pad face down. Little cracks. Now see, it looks pretty good. See if they work. All right, we got those. So I'm gonna take the same rag with the acetone on it, and we're gonna go around here, clean this rotor as good as we can. Flip it over. Put a little bit more on here. Next, you're gonna put the brake pads back in here, but I did notice a little bit of oil in between right here. I could get in, it's kind of in there. Should be gone. So we're gonna put these pads back in there. So how these work is that this goes on here, and then the other pad goes on the other side the same way. With this thing sandwiched between, it makes like a little spring, and that's how your pads work. So we're gonna take that, we're gonna stick these right in the side. This gets a little tricky, but after time you'll get better and better at doing it. But all you want to do is line up the holes and then stick your little pin through there. Now this gets a little hard. A lot of people don't know how to bend this, I'm gonna show you how to bend this. So what we like to do is I like to just hold my hand here and then pull it towards here to bend it. And then you can bend the pin most of the way. Now it's locked in there, your brake pads are in there, it's not gonna go anywhere. And we could get to the next step. So you're gonna drop your caliper right on there. You're gonna finger thread the Allen bolts on there. The one annoying bolt, the extra long one. We're gonna get it set up to start bleeding the brakes. There's a couple different things you might want to know about brakes. Is obviously bubbles go up, so you want to configure your brake setup where you can push the oil from one side and push the air out to the top. So if you look at this bike here, notice how the caliper is slightly lower than the brake lever, but not very much. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring a trash can over here. We're gonna tilt it up like so. And then we're gonna place this lever up more so that the brake is lower. See how much lower they are? That's gonna help push all the air out to the top and allow you to bleed your brake easier. There's an Allen head here on the top, but there's also one on the lever here. We're gonna loosen this up, tilt it just so that this is pretty level, and then tighten it back up. Now that it's level, we can get ready to bleed the brakes. All right, now that you got the brake lever level, there's a couple other things we're gonna kind of point out and allow you to notice. So first off, you want to make sure that you have a hex head or Allen wrench that fits the thing that you're trying to loosen up. So make sure you have this. Also make sure you have the syringe and the fitting that fits it. This one fits really nice right into there. So once you have all of those, you know you got everything. You got this up here. You also want this cup here. And you want the base. The base is cool because it actually just allows you to set it in there. Another thing is that it's got this little pull tab right here. Pushing that in the middle clogs it up and no oil leaks out. And it helps you bleed the brakes a lot easier. So I'm going to show you how you use that. We're going to go on up here. You want to take a look at this. Go up right over here. So we're going to pull, oh my luck, it's a little stripped ding. So we're going to pull this off. This is the seal for the brake. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna thread this in. Make sure the O-ring's pushed all the way up. Thread this on as straight as you can. Very easily. Wait till it bottoms out. You don't have to tighten it super tight. If you tighten it super tight, it'll strip it out and it'll be ruined. We're gonna go over here to the back and kind of get this thing ready. Make sure you got the correct Allen wrench. All right, so we're gonna pull this thing back out. All right, I'm gonna show you how to do this and how to get oil into this syringe and how to push it all the way through and make it the easiest possible. So a lot of times when you bleed brakes, you have oil or air in your line and you're trying to separate it and make it all oil. Notice how there's oil here, a bubble, air bubble, and then oil on the top. To get rid of that, usually you just want to pull the syringe all the way out. And see, I kind of messed that up because I kind of jerked. Now you got all kinds of air in your fluid, your oil. So you can flick it to get most of it out. But look, there's a lot of bubbles right there. I'm going to show you how to get rid of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this mineral oil container, and you don't want to shake this around because it'll look like that and you'll just suck up a lot of bubbles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push all of those air bubbles right up and out of it. Come check this out on the top. You can see the air bubbles gathering up on the top. There's tons of them in there. Alright, so I'm going to get it close. Kind of make a little bit bubble going out. I'm going to drop it right into the oil. And now I'm going to pull this out very slowly so I get the least amount of bubbles. Very slowly. Okay, and I'm not going to go all the way down. There's tons of bubbles in there. So we're going to pull this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pulling it all the way out. So now the air and bubbles are on the top. You can't see it, but there's some micro bubbles floating to the top. They're just trying to rattle around to get them all out. Looks like it's pretty close. All right, now here is the crucial part. If you hold this hose up, you squeeze it. Get all those bubbles to the top. Keep pushing it, pushing it. Push it all the way up to the tip. And now we're gonna submerge it again. And then we're gonna suck in more fluid. See how far this one goes. Go a little bit farther. There we go. This is not gonna be fun. I don't know why there's so many bubbles in here. Almost looks like it's different oils, but I don't think it is. Dude, so many bubbles. This oil was not even acting like this yesterday. Kind of annoying. Super annoying. All right, I think I got it. All right, now we're gonna push the oil all the way to the top. Okay, now let's pull down here. I'm gonna put it right onto that fitting with just a slight bit of pressure. All right, we got it on there. All right, notice how you can see a little bubble right there in the beginning. I'm gonna break this thing free. I'm gonna keep turning this slowly while pressing this syringe in. It's kind of hard to get it in there. I gotta go more. There you go. It's hard to see, but we got some of it going. Now it's time to pull the top up here. Check this out. We're gonna pull the little right here. Now we're gonna go back down to the bottom. And now we're gonna push as much oil as we can. Check that out. See all that dirty oil? It's the stuff you don't want. Pushing, 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 pushing. Filling her up. All right, now come down here, check this out. We got the almost all of it pushed all the way through. I'm gonna keep going and pushing and pushing. All right, now come back down here, check this out. I'm gonna keep a little bit of pressure on this and keep pushing fluid out. As I'm tightening the bolt, what it's gonna do is it's not gonna allow any bubbles to come back down. Sealed the system there. I'm gonna pull the system out. I'm gonna look, not very much oil or anything like that around. Let me grab a rag over here. My hands are pretty filthy. All right, now we got the reservoir filled. So what our next step is, we're gonna plug the hole here. Now that it's plugged, we're gonna get the bolt ready. We back this out. We're gonna put the cup on the holder, and a little bit of the oil is gonna kind of bulge out the top. We're gonna come right up on the top right here. We're gonna thread this bad boy in. Snug it down. Wipe it off. That thing's clean. We're gonna come back to the back. We're gonna wipe this thing down. Everything's good. Take your little rubber seal. And then move this stuff out of your way. We got the moment of truth. So check it out, come this lever. See, oh. So it's building up pressure. It's building up pressure. Oh, there we go. Look at how good it hits. Boom. Works fantastic. Let me see. Is there any leakage? Doesn't look like it's leaking. Looks like it's good. Feels like it's holding pressure. Feels sturdy. Feels like it'll stop. I know, I dig it. I dig it. All right, cool. So now we know the brakes work. Here's the final step, because we just tightened these bolts up real quick. I'm gonna show you a couple ways to do this, but the first way probably or might not work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So right now, if we spin this wheel, we're really lucky because it's not rubbing, but usually it rubs. But I'm still gonna show you how to do this. So what we usually do is, most mechanics, and this is if it's easy and it goes your way, you want to loosen these both up. You want to hit the brakes, hold it pretty firm, and then these bolts, you want to just tighten them just a hair. Just so it's touching. You don't really want to tighten down the bolt. You just want to make it touch, and then the next pass, tighten it up a little bit more. And a little bit more. And then usually what that does is it usually puts the rotor in the middle of the pads so it doesn't rub. So it's not rubbing or anything like that. The brakes are going to work great. All right, here's a quick trick. If you have a lot of grease on your hands, they're really slippery, slimy. Most people have this stuff. So what I like to do is you spray your hand. I'll do it over the trash can or whatever. And these two combined, I don't know what it is, but if you're a mechanic, you have grease and you have black in your fingerprints, this stuff works amazing to get your hands cleaned. Oh, look at that. It cleans them up pretty good. And say if it still feels a little greasy, just take some more Windex or glass cleaner. Do it again. Usually your hands feel pretty good after that. Don't forget to loosen up your lever. And put it back in the spot you want it. Boom. Now let's go outside. Let's see if it stops and if his brakes work better. Alright, brakes aren't working too good. We're gonna show you another trick to try to make them work better. You're gonna need to get some water ready. Jeez. Sounds like dog shit. Alright, that stuff's not working. Let's try something else. Alright, now that we tried to fix the brakes to see if we could get them stopped, we realized that they don't stop. One thing that I do notice is that this rotor looks like an unfamiliar rotor. Maybe it's not grabbing enough. Trying to figure out what's preventing it from stop. Obviously the brakes are hitting really good. They're giving a lot of power, but they're not actually gripping. So it's kind of hard to say if it's the rotor or if it's the pads. But before, when they first installed the brakes, he says that they didn't stop either, but he might have been using the same rotor. So we're gonna switch out the rotor to wherever I put it. At least another Shimano rotor, so another DO rotor. See if this can fix the problem. So next up, we're gonna take off the wheels. Got the wheel off. I forgot this thing's all in one piece. Lot better. So I change out this rotor since he's using the hydro disc brake adapter. It mounts onto the axle and it comes with it. Oh man, I need to buy some hex head tools. Buddy. You're pedaling with the brakes on. Boom. All right, so now we got it right here. And we'll put this trash can here, make it easier for us. You grab the rotor, don't grab the side of it. You can grab the edge and then just drop it back on. Got some extra bolts in here. And they go in the trash. Super exciting. Putting some bolts in, threading them hand tight. This one's being a bitch. Tighten every one, every other one, but don't tighten down tight. Just, whoa. Weak wrist. Need to ride bikes more. Boom. 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 That's all of them, right? I missed one.
Very good.
All right, we got that on there. Swipe this thing down when we're at it. Where'd it go? There it is. Sweet. Easy, super easy. Time to mount the caliper. Hold the brake again. Rub it a little bit. It wobbles a little bit, but that's how the rotors are. It's hitting both sides, closest we could get. I don't know. Gripping kind of good, but I don't know until maybe until we get on the bike, it might not. So let's check it out, see if that rotor fixed the problem.
I don't think it fixed it.
Yeah, it's still loud, still don't work. All right, so he's probably got to get pads. Last thing we want to do. Usually the hardest thing to do sometimes. But yeah, we're gonna try to put some new pads on it, see if it makes it work. Since all those fixes didn't make your brakes work, we're gonna figure out how to make the brakes work. So what we did was we went out and bought a new pair of brake pads. Not only did that, but we bought the metal or metallic ones so that they stop or give it a better bite. So let's take off the rear disc brake pads and put these new ones on. We'll speed through this. You guys probably already seen this earlier. So bending that pin once again. Making sure it's nice and straight. And then we can pull the pads right out of there. Now look at these pads. See how it's all dark? It looks like the oil's coming back out and glazing the pads and not letting it stop. Like this. So before putting the pads in there, I'm gonna hit this rotor again. smell like galaxy gas. Sheesh. If you don't know what that is, you're old. So got it cleaned up. Got the new pads. Careful not to touch the pad with your finger. Comes with a new pin, new pad, secondary pad. Hopefully these fit in there with the calipers already. Back up. Ooh, I don't know. Oh, they feel pretty grippy. I don't know. You're gonna have to find out. I don't know. That's squealing. Alright, yeah, they feel like they're working. We actually got some stopping power. So pretty cool. So if you need your bike to stop a little bit more, try those tricks. If that doesn't work, go get yourself a new pair of brake pads. Maybe try the metal or metallic brake pads. Help you stop a lot better.